Well, welcome back, everybody, to the call. My name is Andrew, and I'm alongside with my co-partner and co-host, Bobby Maher. And of course, this week starts our week where we are not together in person. So this is going to be interesting and fun, isn't it, Bobby?
Yes, it is. Like Andrew said, I'm Bobby, your resident Clemson fan
A
here
resident Clemson
on the
fan.
call. We had a few weeks off from the last Clemson game, so it was nice to actually see him play. Because last time we saw Clemson play, it was against Notre Dame.
Right.
Um, and
We all
I
know what
won't get
happened
in.
there.
Yeah, and I won't get into the whole Florida State thing. That's for another time. I'm just going to write that off right now.
That's right.
But let's jump right into it. If you're ready, Andrew.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
So let's start with the college football playoff rankings. All right. So we've had a total of 2 rankings come out so far. First thing to note about the first 2 rankings is that the top 7 is unchanged from week 1 to week 2.
Right.
Here's the top 7: Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, Ohio State, Texas A&M, Florida, and Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So beyond that, there's a little bit of mixed up. Iowa State jumped into the top 10. A little surprised about that.
Yeah, because
But
it was close game,
yeah,
versus Texas there.
yeah. I mean, Texas could have sent it to overtime if the kicker made it. So, I mean, I don't know. But that'll work itself out when they play Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship. So I'm not as worried about that. Still a little bit mad about Georgia being up so high. Like, the only reason they are number 8 is because they've lost to number 6 and number 1.
That's right.
The only reason the committee likes them. I will say, though, JT Daniels, I think, is their best quarterback.
Right.
He was injured early on, so maybe if he was in a QB room, like, maybe he beats Florida. I don't think they beat Alabama, but maybe they beat Florida with JT Daniels. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm right there with you. I mean, it's all a big maybe. I'm still, like you said, Georgia just has not impressed me this year, and I hate to say that because I think Georgia's got a really good team. They got a really good coach, But if you're going to compete, especially, when you look at your top, and I'm looking at our rankings here, when you look at your top 7, I mean, with an Alabama team this year, with a Notre Dame team who surprisingly has come out and proven themselves. You got Clemson, who's always good, Ohio State, even an A&M in Florida. You got to be able to beat or at least compete with and stay in a game against Alabama.
Yeah.
And against Florida. And what I have not seen from Georgia in both of those games is the willingness to stay in the game. And so I am a little shocked that they're that high. And I think if we're in a regular football season without COVID, I think that would have been different just because, unfortunately, and we'll talk about this later, you've got Georgia who's played 8 games, and then you look at,
also, if it was a regular football season, like USC undefeated, like they would be higher than Georgia. You know what I mean?
Right. But 3 games. I mean, that's what I was going to say. You got 3 games for USC. You got 3 games for Washington. 4 games for Oregon. You can't look at this and say, well, I'm going to put a USC team who's played 3 games, and put them in the top 10. And if you look at the stats this week, USC actually fell twice, and it's not because they lost; it's because they don't have as many games. You got some other teams who are playing more games. You got Coastal Carolina, who's still undefeated. You got a 6-3 North Carolina team who has jumped 2 spots. I mean, this is the crazy.
North Carolina should not be ranked that high. Their 3 losses are Virginia, Florida State, and Notre Dame, and they are 17th in the nation.
Also,
there is no justification as to why Coastal Carolina at least shouldn't be ahead of them. I don't understand that.
I don't either. I don't know what else I don't understand is North Carolina. I mean, I understand they played Notre Dame, and it was somewhat of a game. We'll get to that in a little bit, but 6-3, and you lost the game this week, and you jumped 2 spots. Hello. What happened to the normal, like, you lose, you snooze, and you drop a couple spots? Like what's up with that?
It's because people ahead of them lost, like Texas lost, and there were some other teams that lost ahead of them, and that's why they moved up. But I just don't understand the committee's mindset on mainly UNC and Georgia. Like all the other teams, I can kind of okay, sure, maybe BYU as well, being at 13. Like maybe you can make a case for them to jump at least Indiana and Oklahoma. But I don't know. But let's get into it though. Coastal Carolina, they have game day for the first time ever in Conway, South Carolina. It is going to be hype. It is going to be hype, and they were going to play Liberty, and right now, as of December 3rd at 9 o'clock in the morning, they are playing Liberty. But if Liberty continues to have COVID issues, like their quarterback's already out, they've got a few defensive coaches that are out as well.
Yeah.
So if they continue to have some issues, watch out. Like Coastal Carolina and BYU, they have an agreement to where they will play if Liberty for some reason can't. Which,
check this out. I mean, still a great game day game. I mean, BYU, Coastal Carolina, people are saying, are either of these teams good? I think, honestly, this is a defining moment for both teams. You got a Coastal Carolina team who, if they win, especially on a game day, I don't think they'll be in the conversation for a playoff, but
no.
I mean, they'll be respected a little bit more. I think BYU will be too. Everybody's been saying, who has BYU played all year?
Exactly. And BYU has said all year, like, we deserve a chance. And you know what? If they get this chance on Saturday, I hope they win. I hope they prove to everybody that they're legit. But do I think they're going to win? No, because I believe in Coastal. Their quarterback is special. Their defense, it's. I mean, it is the Sun Belt, so you can't like put too much stock into it. But let's give a little bit of respect to at least the opponents Coastal has played as opposed to BYU.
Well, and think about this too. 2 weeks ago, Coastal Carolina played Appalachian State, and they struggled. I watched that game. And they still found a way to win, and that's how good their quarterback and that's how good their defense stepped up when their offense wasn't playing. When offense finally decided to play, we saw the Coastal Carolina team that we've been witnessing. So I think BYU makes it close if that happens. Honestly, I don't care who plays Coastal. I just want to see Coastal play. I would love to see a Liberty Coastal matchup because I still think the Flames, they lost one game, and they've been thrown to the trash.
Barely. I mean, barely lost it, and their offense just couldn't get anything going against NC State in that game.
And I still think they should be. I think the committee just said, well, they lost the game. We need them to lose. We're not going to think about them as a top 25. Liberty's a good team, y'all, and Liberty, in my opinion, should be in the top 25 somewhere. It's not. I don't think they should be, astronomically high. I think maybe at a 23 through 25 spot. But I really wish that that Liberty can play. I would love to see Hugh Freeze and that offense go again. But if BYU and Coastal's the matchup, I think we're going to have a good game.
Well, see, my thing is like I was looking forward to this matchup. Like weeks ago, we talked about it on this podcast. Like this was going to be the biggest game of this weekend. But with Liberty's QB down, like I just don't know if Liberty can play. I just don't know if it'll be as big of a game as it was hyped up to be, a couple weeks ago. So honestly, if I'm BYU and I'm Coastal, I want to play BYU. I think that's the better opponent. And if you're BYU, this is something that you can hang your hat on. Hey, we beat an undefeated Coastal Carolina team that will probably end up winning the Sun Belt.
And I'm looking at two potential future here. I'm looking at if Coastal wins this game. Obviously, BYU is going to drop. Coastal will go up. But, in the past we've in the Cotton Bowl. I've always loved watching the Cotton Bowl because they've got Western Michigan going in there and playing. You've got some of these younger teams. Man, if Coastal could get in a Cotton Bowl and play an opponent, I don't know, maybe like Georgia, A&M, or even I don't know, one of these other Miami or Iowa State if they stay in there, whoever. Oh my goodness! I mean, and potentially win that game. What a statement you're making for your future, the future of your program, right? I mean, you're making a good statement. So I hope I'm on the Coastal train with you, man. Well, let's get that thing fired up and going. I think Coastal's going to have a good weekend no matter who they play.
Awesome. Well, Sorry to get on that Coastal rant, guys. I've been talking about them for weeks,
That's
and
right.
they deserve some respect. So, Conway, South Carolina, I'm calling you out. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's get it.
Let's do
All
it.
right. All right, let's recap some other games from last week. So we got the Civil War, Oregon and Oregon State. Usually this is just a blowout in the
Usually
first
this game's
quarter.
already marked as a W on one side
Yeah.
pre-game.
I will say though, let's talk about the conditions though. It was very foggy, so I think that played into this game because throwing the ball in the fog is very hard. So but credit to Oregon State, man. This is a rivalry game. It's not like they were just gonna roll over and die when they play against Oregon. Like they're gonna get up for this game. It was at home, no fans, of course, but so because Oregon lost, of course, that was the Pac-12's best chance by far. Is the Pac-12 theoretically out of playoff contention now, even though you still have two undefeated teams?
Yes, they were out before this game. They didn't have a chance before. I don't care. I don't care if you lined up number 1, 2, and 3. Well, if you lined up number 1, 2, and 3, and they beat all three, then I might give you that.
I
But
might give you that.
look, I'm looking at the rankings right now, and what I see is 6-2, 7-2, 9-0, 6-2, 6-3, and then you get down to the Pac-12 portion, which is, might I add, number 20 through 25. You got USC at 20, 22 at Washington, 23 in Oregon, 3-1, 3-0, and 3-0. You can't be at the committee right now and say, well, we're going to throw a undefeated USC team up there and let them go at it. It's just not fair. Especially if you've got a Cincinnati team who's been drilling all year to get into this spot, hoping that maybe Texas A&M or somebody like that would fall. If Texas A&M loses, if Florida loses, or if Cincinnati just has another huge game, and maybe Ohio State, when we'll get to that too, Ohio State, can they play another game? I just don't think it's fair to send a Pac-12 team this year, and that's not a knock against the Pac-12. It's not saying they're not doing good. They're obviously playing some decent football. They just don't have enough games, and that you've
Yeah.
got to make it fair across the board.
Well, and both of their top teams, which actually I'm looking at this, and Colorado is undefeated as well. Both of their top teams in the two divisions are USC and Washington, and then Colorado. And of those three teams, they've had 4 canceled games. Each
Yeah.
one of them has had at least one canceled game. So I agree with you. I think Pac-12 is out. I think the committee, from the first 2 rankings, you've seen that. And I think you can also kind of look at it from Ohio State's perspective. They've only played a couple games as well, and even though they're undefeated, they're still below Clemson, right?
Right.
So I think the committee values the amount of games played.
Well, because the number of games played also plays into strength of schedule.
Right.
4 games for Ohio State. Sure, they played an Indiana team. They played, a couple other scrubs out there. But you look at Clemson, 9 games. All right, Clemson's played some decent opponents. Notre Dame, 9 games, beat Clemson as number 1. Alabama has only postponed 1 game, played some decent opponents from the SEC. So you cannot look as a committee member at the Pac-12 and say you're 3-0. Let's put you up there. No,
Yeah.
I can't. I'm sorry, and it's not again. It's not a knock against the Pac-12 because I think in past years you've seen USC and Oregon and even Washington be really good teams. This year's just going to be one of those years you're just going to have to suck it up, play some football, and whatever happens, happens, and let's move on with
Hey,
it.
you know what? And I wouldn't mind a USC Coastal Carolina matchup.
No, I
I wouldn't
wouldn't
mind
either.
that in a bowl game. I wouldn't mind that
Yeah.
in a bowl game. Go put that in a Cotton Bowl. But let's keep it moving. Next game, we got Texas and Iowa State, another Friday game. This was Texas had a lead in this game, and then Iowa State just came storming back.
Yeah.
Texas actually had a chance to send us to overtime. Cameron Dicker, their kicker, who has saved them on multiple occasions in the past.
Right.
I'm thinking back to the Texas OU game 2 years ago where he won the game on a game-winning field goal. He couldn't get it done this time, just a little bit off. But now my question to you, Andrew, you've been saying this for weeks. Is Tom Herman is he officially done at
I think
Texas?
he I think he's got to be. I mean, there's so many factors with this, and it just makes sense. All right, you hire Tom Herman on. He was doing good at Houston, but Houston's not Texas. Texas is a program that like Bama and like Clemson and like Ohio State require excellence, right? And Texas isn't going to let several years of just a bunch of average years go by. I mean,
Yeah.
before Bama beat them in the national championship, that was one of the teams to beat, and now they're trying to get back to that level. And so uh, I'm looking at the box score here for the Iowa State game. I'm gonna tell you what I see. I see a lack of discipline on the defensive end. All right. There was some defense up early, but you're going to let Iowa State outscore you 13-7. I mean, that's not that huge of a margin, but I mean, shut you out in 2 of the 4 quarters. And Tom Herman's supposed to be a high-powered offensive guy. I mean, if you remember Houston several years ago, Houston was a
Mm-hmm.
high-power offensive team. And what I haven't seen is a defense that can finish a game, and I haven't seen the high-powered offense. I know Texas in the past has been, let's run the ball, let's run the ball, let's run
Okay,
the ball.
but here's
But
the question for you: Has a Big 12 defense has a Big 12 defense ever been dependable?
well, no, no.
so
But
so you
but I
say it
mean,
like why are you expecting this?
but
If,
okay. But hypothetically, you bring like a Nick Saban into Texas, and that would change overnight. That would be
you
like
think? You really
you would
think?
have it. Yes. Are you kidding? Defense is like a Nick Saban's like foundation for
Oh
coaching.
gosh.
You build a
Okay.
defense, and then you build your offense around the defense. But that's what I'm saying, though. Texas has potential. They've got athletes, coaching. You've given him what 4 or 5 years now. He's got to go. He's got to go, and we got to get somebody else in there, and
And now
that's going to be
Urban Meyer.
Urban Meyer, ladies and gentlemen. Urban Meyer is going to come out of the booth. He's been
Oh,
talking
come
too much,
on.
so
No way. No way he's going.
hook 'em horns, Urban, hook 'em horns.
Oh gosh. Well, anyways, enough of that nonsense. Let's move on to Notre Dame, North Carolina. I just want to say something. I thought this game, like UNC, after looking at them against Wake Forest, like I was thinking, oh crap, like their offense is humming. You know what I mean? Like I think they could put up 30, 40 points on Notre Dame. Uh, the first 2 drives of the game, I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a Big 12 game. This is going to be a shootout. After that, there was nothing by UNC. They could not get anything done. And let's give credit where credit is due. Ian Book
yeah,
stepped up in this game. I don't think he had his best game, but he played well enough to where Notre Dame could still win the game, right?
right.
And Notre Dame's defense. Okay, they stepped up after those first few drives, and UNC just couldn't get anything going. So I think Notre Dame's defense is legit because I think North Carolina's offense has proven to be one of the best at least in the ACC and possibly the country.
Yeah, I need to step in here a minute, and I need to
Okay.
first of all say that I take back my statement I made several weeks ago. I said that Notre Dame would drop a game, and they have not dropped a game. So I have to come out and say Notre Dame is proving themselves. And you know what? I don't mind saying I was wrong.
Hey, they still have Syracuse. Who knows? Who knows about Syracuse this week?
Well, that was what I was going to say. I don't mind saying I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Uh, there's still football to be played, and anything can happen. But I agree with you. I mean, I think you look at Notre Dame's defense. They obviously stepped it up after the first quarter in that game. Ian Book and that offense is high powered. I think they're proving why they need to be in the college football playoff, and then in that discussion. I will say this about North Carolina though. I was like you. Man, I was super pumped about that first quarter and seeing those two and seeing that quick offense get off, and I'm like, again, be a shootout game. It's gonna be a good game. Obviously, even at halftime. I mean, really, you could say even after the first half, you didn't see anything happen by UNC because it was tied at halftime. So,
Yeah.
but UNC, they've got a great coach in Mac Brown. UNC is a raw team that I think over the next few years is going to be a good team.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
And
say
there's
that. I'm not going to say that UNC is a bad team and I'm counting them out.
yeah.
They've played. Look at who they've played this year. They played a lot of great competition, and I think they're working out the kinks now. So obviously this year not going to happen, but you look into the future in the years to come. I think you're going to see some good things by UNC here.
It honestly kind of reminds me of how Clemson was back when Dabo first got to Clemson. It was almost like we had good pieces in place, but we just couldn't put it all together for a full game and B, a full season.
Right.
So, and I think with Mac Brown there, UNC is definitely going to get some recruits. They definitely already have. Sam Howell's not going anywhere.
Right.
So he's going to be there for at least another year or two. Yeah, I agree with you. I think UNC is creeping into that top 2 or 3 teams in the ACC if Notre Dame stays in the ACC, which who knows what they're going to do.
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. All right. So we got another game I want to talk about. We got Indiana and Maryland. Kind of a letdown game for Indiana, honestly. They won the game, but they did not look good. And Maryland had many chances to win this game. They had like 3 red zone drives that ended up in 0 points.
Yeah.
And Talia did not play his best game.
No.
But Indiana's QB went down. He's out for the season. I'm sorry, man. Indiana is just I don't think they're the same team without their quarterback. So I just don't know. I don't know if they will go the rest of the year undefeated. It depends on who they play. I don't know who they play. They play Wisconsin and then Purdue. Okay, they might go 2-0. I don't know.
Wisconsin
they'll probably go 1-1. I think they lose to Wisconsin.
I think Wisconsin will be a good test of grit and overcoming adversity. Man, it's hard for me to say because I was on the Indiana train.
Oh my gosh, man, you were.
I was on the Indiana train.
Yeah.
I mean, I was still hoping after Ohio State that something would happen and they'd win.
I guess there is still a chance if Ohio State has to cancel another game.
Yeah, maybe.
Which hold on, wouldn't it be hilarious if Michigan in Jim Harbaugh's final game decided to cancel the Ohio State-Michigan game and then forces Ohio State not to play in the Big Ten championship?
You talking about bad blood between two schools?
Oh my God!
There's already enough of that between those two schools.
I will say, Michigan game this week is canceled against Maryland, so there is potential for it. But I don't think it will happen.
You heard the reason why Michigan canceled their game versus Maryland, right?
What's the reason?
The real reason. I mean, yeah, there's a bunch of COVID crap going around. They're not allowing a lot of women to play football right now. So it's too many pansies on the field. No, I'm sick and tired of Michigan. Let me just you got me on that. You open that cam. Let me say one thing about Michigan real quick. Harbaugh needs to go. Get gone. All right?
And go to the Jets.
Go to the Jets and help them lose more games. That's what they're good at. Michigan, I'm going to look into the camera when I say this. You got to get your act together because this is absolutely real. In what world are you playing football in? Because it's not this one. I mean, you could have put Alcorn and Akron and all these other teams up against you and would have been a good game. I would have enjoyed watching the game because they would have won. I mean, we got to get our act together here. So Harbaugh's gone. And we've got to – I wouldn't even want to watch an Ohio State-Michigan game. Honestly, if I'm Ohio State, I'm praying, man, please cancel the game. You're a waste of our time, waste of our travel. Let's find some other play. Let's find some other – let's play Indiana again, dadgummit. Let's give them another shot. Well,
Yeah. Here's my thing. In the past, few years, that Ohio State-Michigan game is always hyped up, but, Ohio State has dominated this rivalry. It honestly – I mean, I know it is a rivalry just because of the history, but the recent history of this game is it is not a rivalry. It is just a beatdown from Ohio State to Michigan,
Yeah.
and it's just sad to see, honestly.
Yeah,
um,
I don't know. But I will say quickly about Maryland and Indiana game. I watched that game. Indiana didn't look that good, and I think between coming off of an Ohio State disappointment, and then you've got the quarterback going down. Indiana's gonna have to show some grit these next 2 weeks. And as far as Talia Tagovailoa, I was watching the dude. Oh, the dude had a good got wide. I mean, he could have been more wide. You know those little turkey toss things you do, where you get like a paintball gun and you shoot the people. I mean, it was like one of those things where it was wide. I mean, you couldn't miss, and he somehow threw it
behind
like
him,
way behind him into the corner.
yeah,
And so I think Maryland has an opportunity to be good with a decent quarterback, but the quarterback's got to get his act together. So.
yeah.
I don't know, but as far as Indiana goes, we'll see what happens the next 2 weeks. I think we're going to be able to talk more about Indiana next week.
After Wisconsin, yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's talk just briefly about Florida. Another slow start for Florida. Like, honestly, I was like, who is this team in the first half? Like, they had that one quick drive from the two Kyles, Kyle Pitts and Kyle Trask. But then that was it. That was it. Kentucky was holding on to this game. The only reason Florida had momentum in the halftime was because of the dumb punt. The punter for Kentucky, and if I was watching the game, and I think sometime in the third quarter, the announcers basically said the punter messed up. Like, he punted it to the right when it should have gone to the left.
Yeah.
So that's why all the Kentucky players went to the left. But the ball went to the right, and there were only like two players on the right side, one of them being the punter and another just being like just a random guy. And the dude just ran it back. And then Florida had momentum. I'm pretty sure they got the ball in the second half as well. So, I mean, Florida, Kyle Trask, like, he's a good quarterback stat-wise. I just would like to see a little more of a complete game from Florida. From first quarter to fourth quarter.
And see,
that's the great team in the second half. I want to see it for 4 quarters.
Right. It's either the front end or the back end. And here's the problem. If I'm Florida, and this is not, let me preface this. This has no bias. This is just logic. If Florida can't play a complete game, all 4 quarters, you're not going to beat Bama. You're not. No. Bama may. We'll get to the Iron Bowl here in a minute. Bama may have had a couple of games where it was a slow start in the first quarter, but you talk about the second, third, and fourth, they put the metal to the pedal. They've turned it on. If Florida's even going to think about beating Bama in an SEC championship game, they're gonna have to do better than what they did against Kentucky. Which might I add, Bama just took Kentucky and punted them from here to kingdom come. So we're gonna need to see a complete game.
Here's my thing though, like for anybody to beat Bama, really, it's going to take a complete game. Like, Bama could play like a B- game and beat 85 to 90% of the teams in college football. Yeah. For someone to beat Bama, like, they're going to need to play their A+ game. Anybody, doesn't matter who it is. But Florida will definitely need to play a complete game if they want to make this close and potentially win. I think they have the weapons in place to do it, but can they keep it up for a full game? The world may never know. Next game, let's talk about Michigan State Northwestern. Okay, I am deeply saddened by this.
You're deeply saddened.
I was hoping Northwestern could pull it out, beat Ohio State. I don't know. They probably wouldn't have gotten in, but Michigan State, credit to them. They played better. Northwestern they're not built to come back. They're more of a ground and pound, kind of a run the clock kind of a team, and they're not built to come back in games. And just Northwestern just isn't built for these kind of scenarios.
Well, Northwestern is what I would like to call a nuisance team, meaning all they do is screw your season up. They'll come in, they'll pull off a big win, and then they'll move on with life. And this is a perfect example. You got a big Northwestern win against a Wisconsin team several weeks ago. And then you come and play Michigan State. Now let's evaluate this. Michigan State does not have their head coach anymore. I mean, it's a new head coach. Uh, they're I don't know, 1-3 coming into this game. Like hello.
One win being Michigan.
And yeah, that's not even a win, and that's a gimme. And in the first quarter, the first half, 17-6.
Yeah.
You're going to go in there and beat Wisconsin, and then come out and at halftime be trailing 17-6.
Yeah.
Do you realize that Northwestern had not one lead this entire game? Not one. I mean, you went from 17-6. They held Michigan State to 0 points. So then it was 17-13.
13.
And then 12 points. They just rolled over in the fourth quarter and said, "Well, I guess since we didn't score more than 20 before the fourth, we might as well just quit." I just don't understand, man. Like, again, Northwestern, a nuisance team. They're going to come in, they're going to screw your season up, and then they're going to lose like 2 or 3 more games after that. So
now the next question is: Michigan State sitting at 2-3. They just beat Northwestern.
Upset alert.
Do they have a shot against Ohio State?
Yes, and I'll tell you why they do. I'll tell you why. I'm gonna switch the screen here a minute. Let me go down to this Ohio State.
Oh my goodness.
You look at where is Ohio State at? Is it 11 o'clock? Yes, it is. Okay, first of all, it's at Michigan State. Home field. Now, no fans. Home field advantage though. Ohio State's gonna travel. I know that's not a big thing for you, but Michigan State. Here's the deal: they finally have a legit win, and it was in a top 10 opponent. So you talk about momentum, you talk about confidence building for Michigan State. They started the season off. They thought, well, with our new head coach, it's going to be a rebuilding season. But now they have an opportunity. They're not going to make the playoff. They probably won't make the top 10. I mean, the top 25, unless I guess maybe they beat Ohio State and win out. Maybe, I don't know. But
no way they crack the top.
But here's my thing. What an accomplishment to say, hey, we had a rough start to our first season with our new head coach, but we beat Ohio State and Northwestern, both ranked in the top 10. The line for this game is 24 points. All right. Will it happen? Probably not. But if it were to happen, it would be Michigan State. It would be. So I'm just going to say upset alert maybe. I'm not expecting the win. But who knows? I mean, this season's already been crazy enough. So
yeah, I'll give you that. All right. So before we get into Clemson and Bama and some other games, I want to briefly mention Texas A&M. Kellen Mond, what kind of a game was that? You go 11 for 34 against an LSU defense that has been just I mean. Any team can score on this, and I just was not impressed with Kellen Mond. Now, I will say credit to A&M's defense. I think they're legit.
Yeah.
But the Kellen Mond has got to play better. You know what I mean? Like, it was all on what's the running back? Isaiah Spiller.
Spiller, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Spiller had. I was looking at this.
27 carries,
141 yards, a touchdown, long, a 50. Listen. I don't even know what to say to this. Max Johnson for LSU, put this in perspective for you. He only threw 22 passes, so Kellen Mond threw 12 more. But he completed 14 of those. I mean, like, Kellen, come on, dude.
And he didn't even start the game, too. TJ Finley started the game.
Yeah. You're the number 5 team in the nation. This game should be a practice for you. And you only won 20-7.
Yeah.
You think? Listen, the committee's looking at this team right now, going, "Why shouldn't we be putting them in?" Right? If you're that number 5 team, you're that question mark of, do they deserve to be in? Why aren't we putting them in? What's going to happen to switch to maybe push us to put them in? And if I'm the committee member, I'm saying, well, we made the right choice this week. We're probably going to make the right choice next week because obviously they don't know how to play football. Well, especially it was at home. And it was against LSU. Come on, people.
Yeah, look. I'm not going to be too hard on A&M. They had 3 weeks off. They had a couple weeks off, so they were a little rusty. I'm gonna let them have this game, but if they want to get a shot in the playoff, because like you're saying, they're sitting at 5, so the committee needs reasons to put them in, right? This was your chance to go out and prove that you're worth that number 5 ranking. I'm gonna let it slide this week just because they were off. They were off for a couple weeks, but I really need them to step up, and I need Kellen Mond to step up because the defense is there. Defense is the A&M's defense is there. Okay, I mean minus that game against Bama, like they played pretty well, but I need Kellen Mond to step up. I don't want it all to be on Isaiah Spiller. So that's all we're gonna say about that game. Hopefully, who do they play next? They play Auburn, which you always say Auburn's one of those like ruin your season kind of a team. But
there's a lot of dirty magic in Jordan-Hare. Let me tell you that.
I'm gonna give you an early pick on this one. I think A&M wins. I think they've heard all the noise and everybody's saying, "Oh, they're not legit." Kellen Mond's not great. I think they come out, play well. I think they win this game. Anyways, but let's get to our teams. Can we? Let's do it.
Let's get to our teams, but we're going to do that after this commercial break. All right, everybody, welcome back to the call. Before we get into Alabama and Clemson, we got some breaking news, Bobby. You want to break that down for us?
We have some breaking news. During the break, we actually just got an update from ESPN. We had kind of teased it out earlier. BYU and Coastal Carolina are officially playing on Saturday.
Yep.
I think that's great for both teams, honestly.
I would agree with that.
I'm going to watch this game. It's going to be a great game.
Yep.
All right, but let's get into it. First off, let's start with Clemson, and I've got a little surprise here for Andrew. I'm back, baby.
Oh Lord.
I'm back.
Well,
I'm done wearing the Alabama shirt. If you follow me on Instagram, I'd wear that all week and give you guys a vlog.
How was that, by the way? Was that just not refreshing for your soul?
It was just awful.
My favorite part of the entire week was truly when you got on Thanksgiving and said, "I'm thankful for Alabama football," and I thought, well, he could stop right there and I'd be fine.
Yeah, that was fun. I did have fun with that though, as far as the punishment, but I hated wearing the shirt.
Well, get ready. It's coming again. Next week, you'll be right back at it.
Well, Clemson football's back. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but can we just talk about 5 turnovers forced against Pitt, who, by the way, blew out Virginia Tech the week before, which you correctly picked that game, I might add. But their quarterback just did not. He was off. He was off in this game, and he had most of his turnovers in the first quarter. But Clemson defense finally, probably for the first time since Wake Forest game 1, has been healthy, and we're still missing guys. Yeah, one of our cornerbacks is out for disciplinary issues, which Dabo likes to call that. He's in the love shack.
Oh, whatever Lord.
I don't know what that means. And then we had, I think, another safety out, but for the most part, we had our big studs back. We had Jamie Skowski in the middle. We had Tyler Davis on the defensive line. This defense is just it's a lot better with those 2 players, and I think we built a little bit of a depth, which will help us as we play Notre Dame again, hopefully in the ACC championship and potentially down the road in the playoff. But I will give credit to Pitt. We kind of stalled out after the first quarter into the second quarter. But I also think we kind of left points on the field as well. Trevor Lawrence didn't play the full quarter, and just to kind of tease out something with the Heisman, I don't think Clemson, the way they're built currently, will ever have a Heisman winner, just because our team is such a developmental program that we're not going to leave somebody in there for 4 quarters if we're up by 20, 30 points.
Right.
That's why even though I think, and probably a lot of people would agree, that Trevor Lawrence is the best talent-wise in this year's college football as far as quarterbacks go, I don't think he's going to win just because of stats. Will he go to the ceremony? Probably. But anyways, that's all I want to say about Clemson. I think they basically pictured Pitt was Florida State on the field, and they just, smacked
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. I think, glad to see Trevor Lawrence back in the saddle again. You're talking about 403 total yards and 26 for 37, really good stat line coming off of COVID. So really, really appreciated him being back in the saddle. And then here's one thing I want to say about Clemson, then we'll move on. Man, Travis Etienne, he's so up and down and up. Like, he's never consistent. He had 11 carries for 58 yards. Now, he had 2 touchdowns, but
Yeah.
everybody talks about Travis Etienne being this great running back, and I want to see it across the board every week. I really do.
Let me tell you why he hasn't had as good a year. The offensive line for Clemson is probably the reason why we aren't as great of a team as I think we could be, right? The offensive line in pass block, like, we can hold our own, but in run block, I think we have one returning starter on the offensive line, and everyone else is just kind of new. It's just kind of how our O-line kind of, that attrition rate that happened over the few years. That's why I think Travis Etienne hasn't had a good year running the ball. Now, passing and receiving, I think he's had the best year in his time at Clemson, and I think he's improved his draft stock because of that. But the rushing yards this year, I agree with you, but I think that's partly on the O-line. And that's why I think Clemson might have some trouble later in the year. I think their O-line is definitely something that can be taken advantage of. Look at Notre Dame. They definitely took advantage of that.
Right.
Anyways, but I don't think it'll be a problem until Notre Dame and potentially in the college football playoff.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Iron Bowl. College game day was there. Definitely people thought this was going to be close. Who in their right mind would think this was close? The only reason people might have thought this was going to be a close game is because it was rivalry, and unlike Michigan, Auburn actually gets up for these rivalry games.
Yeah.
But it was at home. I mean, first few drives, it kind of was like, okay, this could maybe get interesting, but it was more of like Auburn just coming up with stops against Bama's offense than it was Auburn stalling
doing
out.
anything.
Like Bama, like the first few drives, their defense, like Auburn just couldn't get anything. They literally could not get anything.
People want to talk about Bo Nix being this great quarterback. He's not. I'm just gonna shoot every Auburn fan straight in the face right now. Bo Nix is not your quarterback. He's not a good quarterback. He's not. He's got an attitude problem. All right. If he fixes the attitude problem, I think you get things better. But I watched several times, not just this game, but in past games, where Bo Nix has gone to the sideline and he is in an argument with his offensive line people, his offensive coach, his offensive coordinator on plays they're running. I'm thinking there's no unity on that offense. So just a couple of quick highlights, because really, I mean, you see the score, you know what happened. We're going to move on, but it was at Bama. The only other time I think Auburn won was back when the scam happened. With Scamback and his team, Scamback. But then also, I mean, here's my thing. Auburn's got to find a way to buy out Gus Malzahn, because Gus Malzahn is just not it anymore.
Yeah,
I mean, you had it the first few years. He took him to a national championship. He lost, but he took him to a national championship. Auburn's problem is they need to find a good, consistent coach who knows how to recruit, who knows how to stay on their team. Gus knows football. Gus is just not He's not there anymore. And
But
until
I also think that's kind of what Auburn's mantra is. Like, they're the team that you go to if you want to be the underdog against Alabama and Georgia, and you want to go in there and beat them. Like, that's what Auburn's recruiting model
that's
is.
true.
It's basically like we're the little brother of these teams, and we're gonna go beat them.
Right.
That's the recruiting model, and that works. It works some years, but some years it doesn't.
Yeah.
So my question to you now is just quick question before we get off this: is Bama's defense legit, or is it just Auburn's offense just like not being that great?
I think it's a little bit of
Mix
both.
of both. Okay.
I think it's a little bit of both. Quickly, I'll talk on that. Auburn's offense, again, until you find a better quarterback, until you find a good conductor of that offense, you're just not going to have it. Tank was a little off this week, too, but I know he's got an injury. Bama's secondary is my issue. I think we did better this week, but we got, you look at the competition in the top four. You got Ian Book and the Notre Dame offense who love throwing it down the field. You've got Ohio State and Justin Fields who can throw it down the field, but Justin Fields is a running quarterback. You got to be able to read that play. And then Clemson, Clemson's just that team that if we play Clemson again, it's just going to be what, part 164 or whatever it is. So it'll be.
And I will mention this: in the past, what kind of quarterbacks has given Alabama trouble? Running quarterbacks, dual threat quarterbacks that can extend plays. I'm thinking back to Johnny Manziel, right?
Ooh,
Ian Book is a sneaky dual threat quarterback, and if they play, I don't think Notre Dame beats Alabama, but like
it'll be a close game.
Who knows? Maybe Notre Dame gets a turnover or something. Like I don't know. Maybe they get a special teams play. I think Notre Dame will keep it close just because I've seen personally when they played Clemson that Ian Book can extend plays, and that's what I mean. Specifically Bama, but any team can get gypped by a dual threat running quarterback.
Yeah.
But anyways, we'll talk about that later. I just want to briefly mention Jarrett Patterson from the Buffalo Bulls, not the Bills, the Bulls. 400 yards, 8 touchdowns.
8.
Dude, now, who did they play? Kent State. I don't care who you're playing.
I don't care who that is.
That are amazing. They're in the Mid-American. I didn't even know that was a conference. But, can we at least give some credit to this dude?
I want to pull.
No. But should an NFL team draft him? Yes.
Oh, absolutely. I want to pull up this real quick because I want people to understand the perspective of this game, okay? Jared Patterson had 8 touchdowns. 8. Okay? 8 times 7 points is 56. Buffalo scored 70. He scored, I would say, 90%, 85, 90% of their points, all right? 36 carries, 409 yards. The average on his runs was a first down every time.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man.
But you could make the argument, well, Kent State's defense is just not great. But still, to get 400 yards against anybody running the ball is very impressive.
But here's my thing, though. You look at I'm looking at the box score. Kent State was undefeated. All right, first quarter it was 21-10. Then Kent State kept up with them. It was a break-even second quarter. So they never outscored Buffalo, but they somewhat stuck around in certain quarters. So I'm not looking at this game and going, well, it was just one of those games where you could literally just put your third string out there and still whoop them the same way. I'll give credit to Jarrett Patterson and the offensive line of Buffalo. Literally a history-making day for this young man. I definitely think that he should be looked at. I mean, I would love to see what his stats are week to week, other than Kent State.
He's had really good games all season. This isn't like a one-off thing. Like he's had some pretty good games before. Like game 1, 137 yards against Northern Illinois. Miami, Ohio. He had didn't really have a great game against them. Let's see what he had against Bowling Green. Yeah, he had 300 yards against Bowling Green. So he's had 2 really good games and 3. Yeah. So I mean, this guy. I hope he gets drafted.
Yeah,
That's
I
all
think
I'm
he, I
saying.
think he
I
should.
wish him the best.
Absolutely.
But let's talk about another history-making thing. Vanderbilt.
Sarah Fuller.
Sarah Fuller. What a cool moment to have the first female in a Power 5 college football game.
I got something to say about this. I just
Take
need
it.
to
Take it.
I need to rant real quick.
Go
First of
ahead.
all, Sarah Fuller, uh, just want to say congratulations for making history. You've set an example for so many women, so many girls in this country and around the world. Just to boost that, she came off of a SEC championship a game with Vanderbilt soccer. Literally
Yeah.
the weekend before, needed a kicker. She stepped in. Talk about a team player. Now I want to talk to the rest of the Vanderbilt football team a minute. Y'all suck. Y'all
First off,
suck.
R.I.P. Derek Mason.
Don't
R.I.P.
care about him. Here's my problem. That girl stepped out there to play football. And the best you can give her is a second half kickoff. You couldn't even get in range for her to kick a field goal. That is a disgrace. Y'all should be fined or suspended for 2 seasons just because of that. And you should all line up and apologize to her face to face because, again, you talking about. Listen, let's look at this. Let's look at this scenario. Sarah Fuller, first woman to play uh, football for a Power 5 team.
Yeah.
And you can't even get into field goal range. That's how
Yeah.
bad your team is. I mean, come on, coach.
The problem is that Vanderbilt has such high academic standards, and for the players that can play football really well and perform really well in the classroom and want to be challenged academically, don't go to Vanderbilt. If they can do both, they go to Stanford, they go to Notre Dame, they go to USC for that matter too. I mean, there are plenty other schools that if someone wants to be challenged academically as well as play at the highest level in college football, they don't go to Vanderbilt. That's why it's hard to recruit there.
Well, and that's why ultimately my biggest challenge or statement that needs to be heard and needs to happen right now is that Vanderbilt needs to be booted from the SEC and we need to bring in UCF or Coastal Carolina or somebody who actually wants to play football.
No. Here's the reason why Vandy will still be in the SEC. Who won the women's soccer conference? Oh, that's right.
That's Vanderbilt did. Well, okay.
Who won the baseball SEC championship? Vanderbilt. Who also won the national championship for baseball? Vanderbilt. Right? So they have other sports. We've talked about this a little bit with the ACC.
That's true.
You can't get rid of Duke in the ACC because of basketball, right? So
I hate that rule though because they're just Vanderbilt. I will say they belong in the SEC with baseball. They belong in the SEC with soccer. But when it comes to football, might as well just stick a bunch of know nothings out there.
They should do like Notre Dame and go independent or something for football.
That's what. See, we could do that. Be an independent team. Go play a bunch of different people, and let somebody with like Coastal Carolina or UCF who wants to be in a decent conference in football step in and play.
Yeah. What if Clemson was in the SEC?
I would love that. I would love that because we could finally say that there's no more. Well, you didn't play anybody this year because Bama. I can guarantee you, Bama would play Clemson every single year.
Yeah. Yeah, but just. Let's get back to Sarah Fuller real quick. That's just a cool moment to see. Everyone was saying like, "Oh, she didn't kick it that far." Okay, but if you actually ask the coaches, like, they wanted her to squib kick it. So it wasn't like she couldn't kick it far. It was like they wanted her to squib kick it.
Well, did you watch pregame? I mean, she was nailing field goals. I mean, it wasn't like she couldn't kick. Why do you think they brought her on?
Yeah, exactly. Like if anybody says, well, she couldn't kick, like, no, it was because the coaches wanted her to do that. That's why it was like that. So
Well, and I
don't bring
appreciate.
that argument.
Yeah, go out there and try to kick a field goal yourself and see how hard it is. But
Exactly.
I appreciate her comment at the end there to just challenging all the young girls and young women out there,
Yeah.
telling them, hey, anything you put your mind to, you can do. It's not impossible. So, again, Sarah Fuller, thank you so much for being an example and leader to all the young ladies aspiring to do sports out there.
Yeah.
You made us all proud.
Yeah. So we don't really have many big games coming up this week. I've got one that I want to mention. We briefly mentioned it earlier. Indiana, Wisconsin. Quick pick on this one. Who you going for?
Uh it's at home against Wisconsin. The problem is, man, Wisconsin's played 3 games. They've had some COVID struggles. The line is 14. I'm gonna have to. You know what? I'm staying strong. Give me the
You're going
Hoosiers.
Indiana?
Give me the Hoosiers in a close
I
one.
I appreciate you sticking to your team, but they're out their quarterback. I don't see them winning. Although it will be interesting because Wisconsin's had some games canceled, so it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. But yeah, I mean, there's some other decent games out there this weekend. Of course, BYU and Coastal is definitely by far biggest game out there. Um, App State and Louisiana on Friday tomorrow. That'll be interesting because App State, they're not in the Sun Belt Championship. Louisiana already locked up the Sun Belt, their division. So this will be interesting. Let's a quick pick on this one too. What do you think, Louisiana or App State?
Oh man, it's at home, close game, close game. But I think that Louisiana's continuing to prove why they're a good team. They hang around. So I'm gonna say Raging Cajuns in a very close game.
Yeah, and doesn't that win against Iowa State look amazing right
Really
now
good now.
for Louisiana?
It looks really good right now.
I man, this is a tough one, man. Is it who's at home?
It's at App State's at home. App State's
Yeah,
home.
App State's
That's
home.
gonna be the kicker. That's gonna be the kicker, really.
Golly, I oh, I want Louisiana to win because then when Coastal plays them in the Sun Belt Championship, it makes that win look even better, even though
Even
they've
better.
already beat them. Um, App State looked really good against Coastal, though, man. I think I'm gonna go App State actually.
Bobby's got App
I
State.
could, I
He
could
just did
be,
that
I
because
could,
he knew if he won, that'd be a game I'm down. I see your
I could,
strategy here.
that could be no. That somebody could easily convince me of that, but I think at home plus App State when they play Coastal just look really good.
Yeah.
I think they win. But I also another game we've got Bama LSU. This was a rescheduled one. How many points will Alabama score against LSU?
We might see maybe not the first, but the first in a long time. We might see the first triple-digit points put on the board here. Because here's
That'd
the
be awesome.
deal. Alabama, first of all, for some reason, we just go to Baton Rouge and play real well. I don't know why that is, but we do. And plus, Bama wants a little revenge from last year because LSU kind of
At
knocked us
home, at
at home.
home too.
So I don't necessarily see Nick Saban saying, "Well, we're going to pump the brakes." After a while, I think he sits back and says, "Why not? Why not let
Yeah.
Bryce Young play a little bit?"
It
So
kind of reminds me. It kind of reminds me of Clemson, Georgia Tech, because Georgia Tech used to beat up on Clemson a lot, and so anytime Clemson plays Georgia Tech, they're not gonna hold back.
yeah,
Do I think they crack 70? Maybe. I don't know.
I think it'll be.
I say it's in the 60s though, at
I
least.
think it's a safe 60. I think I'm with you. Maybe crack 70, but
Yeah.
LSU might not score a point. If they do, it'll be a field goal.
I would agree with that. I
No,
think maybe a field goal late in the fourth quarter just so they don't get shut out. All right, let's get into the picks though.
let's do it.
Our favorite part of the part of the show.
That's right.
We're gonna
The
start.
picks.
We're gonna start 11 a.m. Ohio State, Michigan State. You said they're on upset alert.
They're
Are
on
you gonna
upset
stick
alert.
true to that?
They're on upset alert, and I would love Michigan State to win, but let's be logical here. Ohio State's going to win the game. It's a line of 24 points. Michigan State, sure, they can beat, they can beat whoever on a given day. But Ohio State, man, I can't look at you and say Michigan State's going to win with a straight face.
I definitely agree. I definitely agree with that. It'll be interesting to see how Fields bounce back.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, this game could potentially still get canceled.
Yeah.
Because Ohio State had some issues COVID-wise. I know their coach and maybe a few other players. So who knows if this game is actually going to be played. I think it will be, but that's just something to note. All right, we got A&M and Auburn. We've already kind of mentioned this. I'm already going A&M on this one. What's your pick?
Yeah, I'm gonna go A&M, but I'm gonna say watch out. Watch out. This is at Jordan Hare and Auburn. If Auburn could beat A&M, they could at least say that we've played a bunch of good teams and their accolade of the year would be we beat A&M and kept them out. So watch it be a close game. Potential upset, but I think A&M's got it in the bag.
Yeah, in this game I want Kellen Mond to play a complete game. That's all I want. That's all I want.
That's all we're asking for. That's all we ask for around here.
Very simple ask. Okay, Oklahoma State, TCU. Oklahoma State just kind of been up and down since that Texas loss.
Yeah.
Give me Oklahoma State though. I don't think TCU wins.
Yeah, the line is 2.5 points at Fort Worth.
Really?
Fort Worth. It's at TCU. But I'm with you. I think Oklahoma State's going to win. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a close game. Wouldn't be surprised if it's a close game. But give me.
Is Gary Patterson still at TCU?
Gary Patterson is. Let me check. Let's see. Let's look.
He's still a head coach. If he is, I don't know if he stays at TCU. I think potentially he could get a job somewhere. Who knows? Maybe he goes to South Carolina.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah, because they're sitting at 4-4. So I don't know. Maybe TCU's potentially going to be looking for a new head coach. Anyways, let's keep moving. UNC, Western Carolina. This was rescheduled, I believe. This was supposed to be played earlier in the year. I think UNC wins this. I don't even know anything about Western Carolina, but I think that's a FCS.
Yeah, it is. And very simple pick here. North Carolina wins big, and that's all I got to say about it. So
Rice, Marshall, give me the Thundering Herd.
I'm finally excited to see Marshall play again. I believe they were postponed last week.
They've been off. They've been off a couple of weeks.
Finally excited to see Marshall play. It's at home again, so so good to see the Thundering Herd get back in there.
Yep.
Notre Dame and Syracuse.
Oh gosh, this is not even going to be close. Notre Dame is going to it's not even going to be close. Notre Dame big.
The line is 34.
I think they get that. I think they win by 34 or more.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, Syracuse, they've put up a lot of close games. I can't dog them completely, but they just don't play a full game. They can't win. So Notre Dame big here.
Tennessee and Florida. I think earlier in the year this could have been an interesting one. Tennessee, had the longest winning streak coming into the year. But come on, man, Tennessee has just not looked good. I mean, they've lost 5 straight games.
Right.
Since that undefeated coming into the season bull crap. So give me Florida. I want to see Florida play a complete game though. Again,
I do. I think Florida probably
A&M.
The line 17.5 here. I think Florida price starts off slow, but I would love to see a full game from Florida for sure. I think we need that both from Florida and A&M. So but Florida for sure.
Iowa State, West Virginia. Man, Iowa State's locked up the Big 12. West Virginia's kind of a sneaky team. I don't know. I think Iowa State I think they've still got something to prove. So I don't think they lose this game.
It's at home. Line 6.5. West Virginia is a good sneaky team, but they never can play a complete game. Give me Iowa State by probably by 14. So
Tulsa. Hold on, sorry. Indiana and Wisconsin. We've already got that game. Iowa and Illinois. The Fighting Illini.
The Fighting Illini. Can we just take 1 second?
We're going to talk about them in the basketball segment, but oh my gosh, the Fighting Illini.
What kind of the Illini? I would hate to. Here come the Illini. I'd hate to run out of the tunnel at that. Are you kidding me? Like,
yeah.
Give me another jersey and let me run out with the opposing team, and then I'll come back to my sideline. Like,
yeah,
Iowa.
Yeah. Tulsa and Navy. Tulsa, again, is just one of those teams that just has not looked good in 4 quarters. They had to come back against who they play? They played Tulane, I believe. Tulane. And they had to come back. They had a third-string quarterback, and is their quarterback back? Like I don't even know if. Let me see.
Tulsa, man, I'm gonna go ahead and give you my pick. I mean, yeah, it's at Navy, but it might be a closer game than some think. But give me Tulsa. Tulsa's proven that they can win even under pressure circumstances. So
yeah,
give me Tulsa.
It'll be interesting to see though if their QB is back. But yeah, I definitely agree. I think Tulsa wins. All right. Okay, next game. Vandy and Georgia. Well,
I know who I'm picking. Give me
do you think Vandy scores?
Give me Sarah Fuller. Don't give me the Commodores. Give me Sarah Fuller here. No, Vandy doesn't score. Are you kidding me? It's between the hedges. Georgia, the line's 35.5. I'm surprised it's not higher. Give me Georgia in a blowout. I mean, this is a practice game. Honestly, I would hate to play it. I would hate to play this game.
Yeah. All right, we got Stanford and Washington. What do you think?
I can't say much about Washington. I haven't seen a whole lot of them play. It's at home. Line's 11.5. I do know that Stanford has lost 2 games and they just don't look good. So I'm going to go with a safe bet. Give me Washington in a good game, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Now they almost lost to Cal and they almost beat Colorado. So they've had 2 really close games. Of course, they got blown out by Oregon game 1. I'm talking about Stanford.
Oh, okay.
Washington, on the other hand, barely beat Oregon State. Blew out Arizona, barely beat Utah. This is a potential game that I might. I'm gonna go Stanford.
He's going Stanford. Wow, you're gonna hate that later.
Well, we'll see. We'll see, man. We'll see.
Next game,
BYU and Coastal.
Game day. This is game
Coastal.
day.
Give me all of that. Give me all of that. Coastal. Who you going?
I think.
Come on, don't do this, Andrew.
Give me Coastal. Give me Coastal in a close game. Give me Coastal in a close game.
Yes.
I think Coastal proves why they're good, but BYU. Here's the reason I took a second. BYU knows this game is big for them, and they're going to come out guns slinging.
Yeah. So, it'll also be interesting because both teams have not had a lot of time to prepare. You know, because normally you get a full week of preparation. Like now you're getting what, 2 days?
2 days. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how the defenses respond to either team's offense.
Right.
Oregon and Cal. Why are we even picking this game, Oregon?
I'm so fed up with Oregon, but I can't look at this game and say Cal. So give me Oregon. Probably had a blowout.
And we already know about Bama. LSU. All right. Okay. I think I skipped this one earlier. Clemson, Virginia Tech. You already know who I'm picking, but I will mention it's a night game in Blacksburg. That's always kind of a tough atmosphere. They got the Enter Sandman kind of a thing. So
Yeah,
what you got?
I think Clemson wins. I don't see them losing. It might be interesting the first half, but um, just give me Lawrence, give me that offense, give me Clemson. So
Yeah. All right, Miami and Duke. I'm gonna pick Miami, but I just want to say Miami's had a bunch of close games this year, and they have just they should have lost. They should have like 3 losses, honestly.
yeah,
Um, they've had some stupid penalties too, man. Have you watched some of their games?
oh
Like
yeah,
they get like other teams get bailed out because they just get some unnecessary roughness or excessive celebration. It's just like not a disciplined team at all.
right.
Do I think Duke wins? No, but Miami, like if they want to be a potential contender in the ACC for years to come, they need to clean that up. And
Yeah,
I know that's like their culture, like that's what they've been like for years. But I mean, in close games, it kills you. You're shooting yourself in the foot when you do that.
right. Yeah, Duke's not a football school. That's all I gotta say. So. They were that one year when they played Florida State, and everybody was like, "It could be a good game, Florida State and Duke," and then it was not. So, give me Miami, and probably a closer one than we want to see, but give me Miami.
All right. We got Baylor, Oklahoma. Yeah, Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, not
Nothing else to say.
yeah, nothing else to say. Baylor used to be a good team, and I think they still can be. I just not this year. Not a good showing this year. So, we have a canceled game between Northwestern and Minnesota. And then
And then
we
we
have
got a
a
game on Sunday.
Sunday. I know, Sunday.
USC, Washington State. Golly, I am so unimpressed with USC. I've talked about this multiple times, but come on. Every time I pick against USC, they end
They
up winning.
win. I know.
You know
I know they
what?
do.
Give me as much as I hate it. Give me USC.
Give him USC. Well, give me USC too, because they've come through for me every time, and
Yep.
I think that Washington State, after Mike Leach leaving, it'll
Yeah.
be a couple years before they get back. So,
All right, and then we've got some more bonus games just to kind of mix it up. All right, we got Texas and K State. What do you think?
you know, uh, I'm unimpressed with Texas. I'm very annoyed the fact that they've got Tom Herman and they can't pull anything off. The line here is 7 points at K State. Give me. I don't want to, but I feel like just give me Texas in a close one. It's probably gonna be a field goal, but I just think that Texas is gonna win. So give me that. Maybe
Um,
maybe Tom Herman will step up this week with his coaching job.
yeah, no, I agree. I think I'm going Texas in this one. Penn State and Rutgers. You would have thought this game earlier in the year would have been just a blowout for Rutgers, but now this game is kind of interesting. What do you think, Penn State or Rutgers?
Yeah, yeah. Penn State getting a good win last week. Over. I mean, well, I say good win. They got
Michigan,
eight. They got 8 win.
a win.
Um, it's at home. I'm gonna go with Rutgers. I'm gonna go with Rutgers and say Rutgers comes to play. Penn State, yeah, great momentum, great feeling to get a win. It was against Michigan though, and Rutgers played a fantastic first half and did what they could to stay in a game with Ohio State. Um, so I'm gonna pick Rutgers here. I'm gonna give Rutgers the benefit of the doubt.
Yep. I'm going to go the opposite. I think Penn State's got some momentum. They're at home. Give me Penn State. All right, next one. Arkansas and Mizzou. Wow, this is tough. I've been high on Arkansas all year. They've kind of let me down after those first couple of games where they kind of kept it close. Um, where is this played? Is this at home? This is This
This is being played at Missouri.
At Mizzou. I think I'm gonna go Mizzou. I'm gonna go Mizzou.
I'm gonna go Mizzou as well. I was listening to on game day this past week them break down Mizzou and read some other things on Missouri this week, and just they're 4-3. They still got a long way to go to be good, but they're getting there. And so give me Mizzou at home. It's gonna be a
Cool.
good game.
Troy and South Alabama, the battle of the Alabamians.
That's right. Let me give you a little history about this game. All right. I've watched this game in person. I've watched this game on television, and there's been one common thread every time. South does not win. But South's got a new coach, and it's at their new stadium. Is it going to be a pretty win? Probably not. Will it be a win at all? I don't know. But it would be against my honor if I did not sit here and say, give me the Jags in a close one.
He picked South Alabama. Just because you said that, I'm going to pick Troy.
I know. If I would have picked Troy, you would have said South Alabama because that's how this works. That's how this works. So.
That's how this works. All right, we got one last game for you, folks, and then we'll get you out of here. Georgia Tech, NC State. Georgia Tech, I mean, like I said multiple times in previous episodes, they're a year or two away. But I think they keep this one close. But I think NC State has proven their defense against Liberty. Yeah. They held them. So I'm gonna go NC State on this one, actually.
Yeah, give me NC State too. 7-3. Georgia Tech's getting close. They're just not there yet. It's at home in Raleigh. So give me a good defense. It looks like it's gonna be raining maybe that day. And so, Georgia Tech is that power. I mean, they've started to throw the ball, which I'm excited about a little bit, but still a power run team. That defense of NC State stopped Liberty several times. So give me NC State in a close one.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, and that's all we got for you folks. And we'll be back next week to kind of break down this week and then also break down some other games coming up in the future, and we'll also react to the college football playoff rankings. But tune in to our basketball podcast coming out today as well. And I'm Bobby.
And I'm Andrew. And as always, Roll Tide.
And go Tigers.
Go Tigers. We'll see y'all next week.